This is Vic Tantry at Canjo.com. Project management is one of the most important aspects of running an efficient business. In this video, I'll show you how to use a Gantt chart to manage your projects more effectively. This spreadsheet was created by Dr. Vitver at vertex42.com. Vertex42 is a wonderful online resource featuring dozens of different spreadsheets, many of which are available for free and some of which are available for a paid download. I highly recommend you check them out. Let's get started by understanding how the Gantt chart is structured. In column B, we have the tasks, divided up by the task category at the high level, and then each individual subtask associated with that task category. Next up in column C, we have the task lead, who is in charge of each individual task. Column D represents the start date of each task, and column E represents the end date. In column F, we have the duration in days. How many days do we expect a given task to take? In column G, we have the percent complete. How much of the task has been completed so far? In column H, we have the number of working days. Working days are days from Monday through Friday. They exclude the weekends. So this number can give you a sense of how many work weeks it would take to complete a given task. In column I, we have the days complete. How many days have already been spent on this task? And in column J, we have the number of days remaining for each task. So now we have a sense of how the spreadsheet is structured. The other important thing to understand is the major input fields. The input fields in this spreadsheet are in light green. So specifically, we're going to fill in fields for the subtask start date, the subtask's duration in days, and the subtask's percent complete. The actual task category, the high-level task, those numbers are actually calculated with formulas, and you can see that up here in the formula bar. And that's true for the duration of days, and it's also true for the percent complete. So that's an important thing. You don't input these pieces of information. Those will be derived directly from these light green inputs. So with that in mind, let's run through an example. Our friend Mike is a vice president at Canjo Manufacturing, and he's been assigned a new project to design a new pair of shoes. And so he wants to use the Gantt chart to manage this project efficiently. The first major step is, of course, inputting the project name, Shoe Project, and company name is Canjo Manufacturing. Project lead is Mike Smith, and his start date. Now this is important. He actually started this project a few months earlier. He started on June 1st of 2009, although today's date is actually September 1st of 2009. So, by the way, when we input today's date, you see this red line pops up, and that'll give you a sense of what tasks have already been completed to date and which tasks have yet to come. So now we've inputted some of the basic information. Let's get started by actually going through the individual tasks. So our first major task category is manufacturing. There are going to be 5 subtasks associated with this. Now the first thing you notice here is that we actually only have 4 subtask rows at the level 2. So we're going to need to add a row. And the way to do this is you scroll down a little bit, and you see that there's a section called Template Rows. Now, we're trying to get the subtask level 2, so we're going to select the whole row, row 37 in this situation, and we copy that row. It's very important, by the way, to copy and paste the entire row. That's the only way the formulas are going to sync up. Then we scroll back up. We go back to where we want to paste the row in. Right click, and we click Insert Copied Cells, and boom, we have a wonderful additional subtask. So now we have 5 subtasks that we can input here. So let's get started on actually naming these subtasks. The first major subtask is to determine costs. Next up, we have designer selection, and then material selection. Now under material selection, we actually have a couple of subtasks. We have to find vendors, and we have to negotiate price. Then we have to choose a design. And finally, we have to do a test run. So that's our first major category, manufacturing. Our second category is distribution. There are 4 subtasks here. The first one is to find vendors, or rather, we'll say find retailers. And then determine, what just happened? Distribution, put that back in there. And then right here we have to do determine sale price. And then customer support, we gotta set that up. And finally, we gotta arrange shipping. So there we go. We got all our major tasks outlined. So the next step is to start inputting the various start dates and start outlining how long each of these tasks is going to take. So first major step is to determine cost. Now that's already been done. Mike started that on June 1st of 2009 when the project started, and it took him 15 days, and so that is 100% complete. Right below that we have designer selection. So Mike has also started this process, and he started it on July 1st of 2009. That's what we input over there. And this is something that's expected to take about 70 days. And whoops, that's the percentage. Sorry, 70 days over here, and then it's actually about 90% complete. Now you can start seeing that as we make changes here, these bars start popping up, and this bar represents how much has already been completed, the blue area, and then the gray area is what is yet to be completed. And you can see all of this in the context of today's date, again represented by the red line. So next up we have materials selections. Now that's again divided up into 2 major categories, but we're just going to outline the whole thing here. So this is also something that has already been started. It was started on July 15th of 2009, and it's something that the whole process is expected to take 60 days. So first of all, we have a couple of steps here. We have to first find the vendors. So that was the first step, starting on July 15th of 2009. That took 30 days. That's 100% complete. And we also have to negotiate the price. And so that's something that started on August 15th of 2009. And that's something that's about 50% complete. So overall, the task is about 75% complete, and we're expecting negotiating price to take another 30 days. So there you go. You're starting to see how all of these tasks are fitting in a little bit, and everything is starting to sync up. Next major step is to choose a design. So that's something that hasn't been started. We should actually start that right after. So here's where it gets interesting. We want to start that as soon as we finish selecting the designer. So remember, we have, how do we make sure that it all syncs up with that? Well, we have an end date for designer selection. So choosing a design, we want that to start the very next day. The way we do that is we go up here to the formula bar, and we click equals, and then we click on the end date for designer selection, and we hit +1. And that way, this task is going to start the day after designer selection ends. Now, we're expecting choosing a design to take about 30 more days, and that hasn't been started, so it's 0% complete. And finally, our test run. Now, our test run, we're going to start that on November 1st of 2009. That's going to be a fairly lengthy process. We want that to take about 60 days, and it hasn't been completed. If we scroll over here for a second, you can see that the schedule actually goes onward over here into 2010. So now we'll do this exact same process for the distribution section of this spreadsheet. The distribution is going to start on in the new year in 2010. So January 1st of 2010 is going to be our first target date. First major step is to find retailers. So we're going to try to start that on January 1st of 2010. It's already inputted there, but put it again. And we'll expect that to take about 30 days. It's also 0% complete. Sale price, well, that should actually also start on the same day. and that shouldn't take long. We'll make that 15 days. 0. Customer support, we want to get that started probably on the 15th of January, and that should take about 45 days. Takes a while to set up customer support. Also 0% done. And finally, arranging shipping. Well, that's pretty much the last thing that's going to happen. So we're going to want to do that probably at the beginning of February. We'll start looking into that. So it takes about another 30 days, and also 0% complete. If we scroll over to the right, you can see that all of that second category of tasks is all over here, and none of it has been started. And so going back to the top here, you can see that our total duration of days. We can see that manufacturing is going to take 213 days to complete, and you can also see that we're going to have 60 days in the distribution process. So remember, these things are all calculated, and we also have an approximation of the percentage complete of manufacturing so far. Now, distribution hasn't started yet, so obviously that's at 0, but as the project progresses, that will probably change. And all of the rest of these cells, the end date, the working days, all of these things are directly computed from these inputs. So that's important to note as well. So that is basically how the Gantt chart is structured and functional. And of course, like all of the other spreadsheets on Vertex 42, you can make changes as you go along the project. You can also assign task leads over here. I haven't done this right now, but if you want, for example, under manufacturing, the task lead could be Mary, and under distribution, the task lead could be Sam. And you could change these task leads or add additional individuals for the subtasks as necessary. One final thing about this particular spreadsheet is, like all other Vertex 42 spreadsheets, this one is extremely printer friendly. If we go to the print preview over here, the whole chart is very clearly defined on one page, and you can see that all the tasks are outlined, the entire schedule is outlined, and something that you can easily print out and share in a project management meeting and update as you go along. So thank you very much for watching, and for similar videos, I recommend you check out my website, www.canjo.com.